Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Another Sunday, another disappointing Cowboys loss. I don't know what the hell that was. We're getting obliterated off the face of the earth by the Cleveland Browns of all people in the middle of AT&T Stadium. It's I believe at one point 41-14. All hope is lost, and then the fourth quarter happens, and we almost pull off a 27-point comeback. So just how do we even break all of this down or digest this game as fans, as we are now 1-3, but in great control of our situation in the NFC East, and I'll try to touch on that in the end of the video. But in regards to the game today, we actually started out better. I didn't like the opening drive, but at least first quarter we put up 14 points, feeling pretty good. And our defense falls apart and we start turning the ball over on offense, and we're not playing complementary football, as a lot of people like to say. Look, the offense has to be damn near perfect. Let me rephrase. The quarterback and the receivers, so our throw game, because the running backs are part of that too, Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott, our passing game has to be perfect for this team to be competitive, or near perfect, because they can't stall. They definitely can't turn the football over. There's no excuse, or they need to be held accountable, whether it's fumbles, missed assignments, Zeke's fumble. They have to be held accountable there. But the bigger point is this: you have a week today. You put up 38 points. Last week you put up 31 points. The week before you put up 40 points. The only team that averaged over 30 points a game, I believe, last year were the Baltimore Ravens. So you're putting up points to match the yards. We already knew where we were with the yards. Your defense, because I always say this, there's three units to football: offense, defense, special teams. And I personally like to include a fourth, which is coaching. We'll talk about that too. But your offense, the only knock you can put on them is the injuries and the turnovers. They're doing their job. Now, again, they can't stall as long as they did at certain points, but they're doing their job. Your defense is playing at a historically bad level. Like, this is the worst Cowboys defense I've seen since I've been alive or watching. And somebody can come and correct me. I know there may not be analytics, but I don't remember defenses where you can just have a team stroll in and rush for 300 yards on you. And a lot of these guys are the same guys that gave up 207 yards to the Rams in the playoff game a couple years ago. So that physicality, that just, hey, that will, that we're not going to give up this, or we're going to take this away. We knew Bill Callahan, Kevin Stefanski, what those guys want to do with their zone run scheme. That's the whole adjustment that the Browns made, taking the ball a little bit out of Baker Mayfield's hand, making him play extra passer, very similar to what we saw with Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook last year in Minnesota. A team that we played and lost to, by the way. None of this should have caught the Cowboys off guard. But here you are in the middle of the beginning of the fourth quarter, the end of the third quarter. This team, the Browns have already put up 41 points. That's unacceptable. The lack of effort at times on the defense, the lack of push. Then your special teams unit is suspect at best, right? And this week wasn't as bad with the extra points and stuff we dealt with Seattle, but again, we still have kick return issues. Again, we still have field position issues. We block a freaking extra point today, which then ends up, because Jalen Smith touches it and ends up in the end zone, and it becomes 2 points for the Browns. Like, we're a joke in those areas. You also want to talk about, from a standpoint of coaching, they've got to get out of the political BS. What do I mean by that? All this week, we felt good. I felt, from the reports, a lot of people felt good Tyron Smith was going to play. He ended up playing. Didn't hear anything from Olivier Vernon, that side of the field. Good job. The question, though, was, hey, Brandon Knight had been playing pretty well over at left tackle. Well, for him, relative to what we're asking him to do. Terrence Steele's an undrafted rookie who's been struggling. Why not put Brandon Knight over at right tackle? Or we saw Zach Martin play right tackle last week. Now, ended up working out because Joe Looney got hurt on the very first play of the game. So we had to have Tyler Biotish come in, and Zach Martin probably being next to Tyler and helping him along through the game. It's a better fit for what we need to do. Cool. Terrence Steele, why are you in there over Brandon Knight? And I'm not saying Terrence Steele's the one. Obviously, he's not making the decision. It's not Terrence Steele's fault at all. He's not ready yet to be in that position at this level. But it's politics on behalf of the coaching staff because Brandon Knight was Mark Colombo's guy. And Terrence Steele is Joe Philbin's pet cat. We got to get rid of all the pet cats in this organization. This needs to be, as our good friend Tony Romo says, a meritocracy. Brandon Knight's a better football player than Terrence Steele right now. Should have been on the field earlier. You don't wait till, Myles Garrett has already broken loose, and you don't want to give the guy help over there. Notice how Myles Garrett never went to the right side. He played left side defensive end the entire game because they wanted to take advantage of the matchup with Terrence Steele. I would have done the exact same thing if I was Kevin Stefanski. No doubt about it. It's not even that deep, right? And then we go to Brandon Knight. We don't give up a sack the rest of the game. Not that he didn't allow pressure, not that Myles Garrett still didn't wreak havoc, but we were able to manage it a little bit better. Yeah, I was frustrated with Dak on the very first sack on the opening drive of the game. He held the football, should have got rid of it. But on the strip sack where we're doing, I think it was either jet motion or orbit motion, and we do play action fake. We have all this stuff going on, and there's no help over on the right side. By the time Dak's up here with it, Myles Garrett's already over here stripping the football. That's on the coaching staff. You're putting guys in a position to fail. You guys putting Darian – we've been saying where the hell's Donovan Wilson been forever, and Donovan Wilson had some highlights in this game, and he had some lowlights in this game, specifically the Kareem Hunt touchdown run. But I at least saw him a hell of a lot more than I saw Darian Thompson. But, again, you guys wait till the reverse touchdown pass happens, Jarvis Landry to Odell Beckham, before you're like, oh, let's get Donovan Wilson in the game to finally get a look. Another guy in the defensive backfield, Darryl Worley. We have him one-on-one repeatedly with Odell Beckham. We had a one-on-one in red zone goal line situation with no help. That's putting somebody in a position to fail. He has no chance in that situation, Mike Nolan. I don't know what the game plan is doing. I don't understand why Jordan Lewis is in bell technique on 3rd and 6 in the red zone when we're trying to send a little bit of heat and get some pressure because it's an automatic passing down. And we know how jittery Baker can be when he has to actually go through progressions and play quarterback instead of being the play action puppet for Stefanski like they want him to be, or like Jared Goff was in week 1. But when you're playing Bale and it's like, okay, we have the quick out to the sideline, then what are we even doing? Your coverage isn't married with your rush. It makes no sense to me. So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on our offense to just go out there and try to get 50 every game. And unfortunately, they are, in some cases, doing a little too much. In some cases, they just flat out stalled and just couldn't get something going for a little bit. But you guys see how quickly when they get in rhythm, they can go boom, boom, boom down the field, boom, boom, boom down the field, boom, boom, boom down the field. Dak Prescott is your best player right now, keeping you competitive in these games, which I want to treat him like Tony Romo from before. This is what we do as Cowboys fans. Even though he's putting up historic production and people want to say garbage yards and yards don't count and yards aren't wins. Yeah, yards aren't wins, but that's what's giving you an opportunity to win. That's what got you to 41-38, because let's talk about that. They get you all the way back. So it's not garbage yards if now we're playing to get the ball back and to potentially tie or win the game with 3 some odd minutes left and a timeout. We're in a great situation. We have a special teams error where, in that situation, again, it's coaching too. They got to let Zerline know either we're going to onside kick and we try to get a stop on a short field. They kick a field goal. We hold them to a field goal. It's still one score. We still have a chance to take the lead, win the game, whatever. We just have to get a touchdown. Or you kick the ball off and try to get a stop down there, play field position game. I say all that to say this. When you do the squib, and I think that was a bad kick, we're not sure, but when you do the squib and the Browns get the ball in the middle of the field and they run the reverse to Odell Beckham, they can only run that play from where they are on the field because you guys put them in that position. That's very, very frustrating. Yes, Alden Smith should have made the tackle, but even with him missing that tackle, the effort we saw from the other 10 guys on defense is unacceptable. For them to take the angles that they took, for Xavier Woods to jog and do the little shoulder tap, and for Odell to cut back against the whole damn defense and score and effectively end the game, it's unacceptable. And that's why I said, at some point you got to fire somebody. And that sounds radical right now. Am I saying you need to fire a coordinator? I'm saying in the Jimmy Johnson era, if this was the New England Patriots, any organization that holds themselves to a certain standard, when you have a performance like this, you have to send a message to the team in the locker room. I'm not going to keep giving them the pass of, oh, they're still learning the scheme. You've had a month, you've had 4 weeks, you've had 4 games. You should at least know what you're doing in goal line situations. I'm not saying they should know the whole scheme down cold. I understand we've had COVID, had a lot of adverse situations, especially with a new staff that we're dealing with. But some of the communication issues are actually getting worse throughout the season because they were actually better in the Rams game, especially the second half, and they're getting worse week over week, in my opinion. You're getting worse with your coverages. Your pass rush is worse, not better. So somebody needs to be held accountable, even if that means you cut a player that may have been a starter, to send a message. We will not tolerate this, and jobs are on the line. Look, I said this yesterday at the Longhorns because it's amazing how similar these teams are. Only the Cowboys have a better record as of now. We are in a results-oriented business. And so, yeah, we look at individual players. Yeah, I mean, Joe Thomas, he got screwed on that pick. I thought he intercepted the ball. I don't know what the officials were looking at. And it was sad because it wasn't really talked about as much because the game wasn't really in the balance at that point. So no one really thought it was going to be a significant play. Like, you have guys trying stuff. Baby Diggs is out there trying stuff and fighting. You have individual guys that thought DeMarcus Lawrence at time flashed and made a couple plays, a couple hustle plays. And we're not paying you $20 million to set the edge properly and not do – you got to have the Myles Garrett stuff on top of that if you want that type of bread. That's what I'm saying. Like, you setting the edge, or you properly sealing your man, or doing what – all the things, all the film that they show that, hey, DeMarcus Lawrence isn't playing as bad. Okay, but where's the $20 million worth of production? Because, and I'm bringing up his money because all y'all want to do is tell me about why Dak doesn't deserve his money. But y'all have a running back we just paid, who, I'm not saying it's all Zeke's fault, but we aren't the same rushing team. Also, it's the way we're built. We're built around these receivers and the quarterback now in terms of, being the offense that we are, to be fair to Zeke, and he is heavily involved in the throw game. But he's had issues with pass blocking last couple weeks and drops the last couple weeks and now fumbles. So these are all people y'all paid. Tyrone Crawford, y'all paid. Don Terry Poe is terrible. And I've been the one banging the table for the nose tackle and saying, hey, we need that meat up front. We need that guy to stuff. Who's stuffing what when you're giving up 300 yards? We paid Jalen Smith. He's terrible right now. There's no excuse for how bad Jalen Smith is playing. It's almost like he's been cursed. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. They're bad. I know. Yeah, I know we got some guys. Cheeto's going to come back. Like, look at what we're talking about right now. It's just not a good football team. Cowboys aren't good. They're not good. They have a really good offense that's going to make for good TV, and they're always going to be in the game no matter how many points they're down by, because they have a really good quarterback. Despite the offensive line pass blocking challenges, despite the run blocking challenges, they'll always hang around. It'll make for entertaining TV, and that's the sum of what they have. Because I don't know how Mike McCarthy and Mike Nolan can fix what we're seeing on the defense. They don't. Joe Thomas was the only play I even saw where they were remotely close to getting a turnover today. We talk about everybody was talking about the turnover battle. I don't see where yeah, we again offense needs to be held accountable, fumbles, interceptions, things of those sort. Also, Dak is having to be a lot more cavalier with the football because he has to try to score every time. When you look up and you see the Browns have scored in 6 of the last 7 possessions, and I know some people may say, well, the Browns had a short field at some of those times, Steve. Well, the defense, again, they have an opportunity to step up and do something. They did nothing. Yeah, they forced a couple outs when the game was out of the balance, so to speak, and Cleveland's being as conservative and trying to run clock. And even then, they still get gashed on the reverse at the end. It's unacceptable. And they're not very talented on the defensive side of the ball. Like how many guys on defense would you say would make a top 10 list of the top 10 Cowboys? If we just made a list of the top 10 Dallas Cowboys, how many defensive players would be on that list as of right now? Don't worry, I'll wait. So they've got to address that. They've got to address that. But this sucks. It's been a tough weekend. Longhorns lost, Cowboys lost, and the fashion in which these teams lose. It is quite the year. Quite the year. So y'all chime in. Let me know what you think. This division is winnable. Cool. But it's gonna be same old. If we win the division, great, we go to the playoffs and somebody runs for another 300 yards on us. I don't know. I don't know what you do to fix it. I don't know who's out there. I will make this last point because I didn't bring up Everson Griffin. Aldon Smith is probably our best defensive player right now, and he hasn't played football in 5 years, which says a ton. And we bring in Everson Griffin, and I told so many people this that I would have liked to see them pursue a Jadeveon Clowney over Everson Griffin because of the scheme, right? And what Mike Nolan wanted to do to be multiple. Well, there's not too many guys that are better at being multiple than Clowney. Everson Griffin, yeah, if we're talking about a true 4-3, hand in the dirt all the time, yeah, he's probably a better pass rusher from a sack production standpoint. But in terms of what our defense needed from a playmaking standpoint, from being better against the run and a 3-dimensional defender, we probably should have gone after Clowney. Now, I don't know how realistic that was with the money and all that. Somebody can weigh in there. But I thought Clowney would have been a much better fit for what we needed to do than Everson Griffin. Now, did I think that Everson Griffin would be this ineffective? No. That's a surprise to me. Sucks that Gerald McCoy didn't make it to this point with the injury. But this defensive line, this front seven has been an atrocity and a letdown, and the Cowboys aren't going to go anywhere because as a group they suck. So, yeah, y'all chime in. I'm done. Peace.